Hi everyone, Mint Morris here. Welcome to my next live stream in promotion of my new course, Music Theory for the Country Guitarist, Part 2. If you haven't checked out this course yet or the first part of the course series, I highly recommend you check out the links in the description below. You can find all of the information there. In our last live stream, we covered the Bakersfield Sound and how we can begin to create some solo ideas using common phrases and vocabulary in the Bakersfield style. Now we're going to head over to Nashville and take a look at the Nashville Sound. This is the first section of Music Theory for the Country Guitarist Part 2. I specifically look at the players Leon Rhodes, Pete Wade, Hank Garland, and Grady Martin for this specific sound. Today, what I want to focus on is the Hank Garland, Grady Martin, velvety Nashville sound. And you might as well throw in Chet Atkins in that mix too. We're going to look at how we can take our double stops that we've learned from the cage system in part 1 of this course and how we can expand that into triple stops or triads and even grab a few extensions and suspensions out of those grips. So we're going to be in the key of A. We're going to do like a Patsy Cline style harmonized intro over a 1-1, 4-4, 5-5, 1-1 turnaround. So that would be A, D, D, E, back to the A. So I'll demonstrate it first, and then we'll break it down and show you some ideas that you can riff off of. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's first start with our double stops. I'm going to go through this quickly because, again, this is in part 1 of the course. But we have this long stream of double stops connecting a couple shapes on the guitar. So if we're in the key of A, we've got our open A chord here. We've got the A chord G chord shape between the 2nd and 5th frets, and we have the A chord E shape between the 5th and 7th frets. So if we start on our 2nd and 3rd string, we're going to do the 3rd string as the note I say first, and that's going to be A, and then the 2nd string is the C sharp. So we have A and C sharp to B and D to C sharp and E. So we're connecting from this A to this A. And so whenever we have a whole step, anytime we can just connect that chromatically. That's going to be our first move, okay? We're going to carbon copy that up to the D chord here. When we get to the D chord, the 4 in the key of A, here's our D chord right here, as well as the next shape right here, and then right here. So we're going to connect, same finger position, added chromatic. And this is another kind of side note, but it's important to keep your fingers consistent because these patterns just recycle. So if you have a good finger kind of discipline where you're using the same fingers, you have the right fingering, you can just apply them to each key and you don't necessarily have to be thinking about the notes as you do it. And then we're going to do the same thing again for the E. We have our E chord here, here, and here, and we're just going to work right up. Okay, so that's our outline. Those are the main double stops I'm thinking about and the main chord shapes I'm moving through for this turnaround. Now I want to grab an extra note. I want to make this kind of sound larger, as if 2 guitarists are playing this together, or even 3 if each one is just doing 1 note. So I'm going to take my A and C sharp and add beneath the A an E. So now I have E, A, and C sharp. I'm going to do the same thing. Now for the B and D, I'm going to add the F sharp. So we're just going up in the key of A. Then I'm going to add the G sharp to the C sharp and E. Okay, so those are my 3 main chords for A. So really, if I look at this, it's like A, B minor, C sharp minor. Those are like kind of the exact chord voicings themselves, but we can just think of all this functioning in the key of A, right? It sounds beautiful over any A chord. Now I'm going to keep going with that. So I have my D and F sharp. I've got my A on the 4th string. Now I'm thinking about the key of D, right, for the 4 chord. So I've got the G and E here on the 2nd and 3rd string. Then I'm going to add in the B. Then I'm going to move that up a whole step. And I'm adding in the C sharp. Okay? And the same thing for E right here. I've got the E. And that's going to be from the 2nd string, G sharp, E, B. And then I've got A, F sharp, C sharp. And then B, G sharp, D sharp, each in its respective key of A, E, and D. Now, when I want to change keys from A to D, making it an A, A7, D, like the A is acting as the 5 chord of the key of D, I'm going to change this 3rd voicing, right? I've got a G sharp in there to a G, right? That's my flat 7. You can hear that tension. It's wanting to resolve, and we're going to resolve right there to the D. So as I set up the intro, I went 1, to the A7, D. That's how I create that tension and then that resolution. Okay, now we're just going to go up the D. And again, variations, as I always like to say, you can change the rhythm up as you see. And then what I did to approach the E, I went down a whole step below and just walked up into the E as a chromatic approach. And then I chromatically went back down. That's like the flat 7 of E. And then I came right here. Again, kind of like the flat 7 of E. I'm thinking of like this is an E triad. And I just move it down, and it's the flat 7, the D. And I resolve on the A. So without me talking, let's see how this sounds kind of with the bass notes added to it. So here's my A, and I'm going to go with the walk down from D. This is a common move that you should get under your fingers. So we'll go from the 4. All right, so that's with the bass notes underneath it. Now I'm going to play it again with the backing track just so you can hear how it sounds in context. Then I'll show you one more little idea that I picked up from Hank Garland and Grady Martin. Okay, so you probably noticed I was doing some alternate picking there with my pick and my fingers, some hybrid picking, right? So that's a move you can do that sounds really nice in these kind of lush, velvety intros where you're just going to go pick, finger, pick. Okay, that's just the move, and you just repeat that. And jump to the next one, the next one, next one. That's a great move to get under your fingers. If you're beginning to learn how to hybrid pick, that's another way of kind of just getting some finger independence to do that. So if you're setting it up, you can start out your intro that way. You might go 1. Right? Just being able to do that's a good practice. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say to do that the entire length of your intro or your turnaround or your solo, but it's a great way to embellish just those simple double stops. So the big takeaway in this is if you want to sound more along the lines of a Grady Martin, Hank Garland, or as an ensemble of guitars, take those double stops and expand them to the triple stops, right? We're kind of somewhere between triple stops and shell voicings, but this is a great way of keeping it simple, but just again, making it a little more rich and expanding your sound. And as always, if you're interested in learning more of this, you can always book a private lesson with me or check out the Music Theory for the Country Guitarist Part 1 and Part 2 courses. If you purchase one of them right now, you get a discount on the other as an upsell, so I highly recommend taking advantage of that. And I will see you in the upcoming lessons taking a look at country rock guitar and truck driving guitar. I'll see you soon.